Hello everyone, my name is Irina and welcome to my channel. Today I'm filming my most anticipated video to film of the whole year, and this is a Bookish Wrap-Up 2025. I'm going to talk about the books that impressed me the most this year. I set a goal for myself to read 100 books and I've accomplished it, if you count short story collections and plays. And mostly I've been reading modern literature. I'm really glad that I prioritized reading this year because it's been a lot of fun and I'm excited to talk about the books that I liked. I think let's start from the bottom of the list and go all the way up. One of my favorite genres to read is thrillers, and I can't avoid talking about Frida McFadden. I read so many of her books this year, and it's my go-to author if I want something really entertaining and fast-paced and something that I know I will most likely enjoy. I'm going to talk about two of her books that I feel like are her best, other than The Housemaid. I really like The Crash. It's about a woman who is pregnant and she gets into a car crash. Her ankle is swollen, and then this man finds her and takes her to his house to help her and then take her to the hospital, but of course they're stuck in the blizzard in the middle of nowhere, and this woman has to stay at this man's and his wife's house. And talking about motherhood in the Frida McFadden books, I also really enjoyed The Surrogate Mother. I think this might be her best one. It's about a couple who decide to have a child via a surrogate mother, but the girl they choose is unhinged, and she's kind of trying to take the place of the woman in that couple and in her life. The reason why I like these books is because if I were in the position of the main characters, I don't know what I would have done differently, because I feel like they were just really desperate, and it was annoying at times just because there's nothing you can do or nothing they could do, but I can't think of anything better or any other way these stories would have ended. So I just feel like they were quite realistic in terms of how the story went on, and I really liked the twists. And also, what was it called? It's about a hotel. It's about a... wait. There's another one where a woman flees the murder scene and she's stuck in a hotel. Do Not Disturb. Yeah, she's stuck in a kind of like abandoned, not abandoned, but really random hotel, and she sees a woman watching her from the house in front of the hotel. Again, it had a crazy twist that I didn't see coming, so I really enjoyed it. I think those were my top 3 Frida McFadden books, but I might actually make a video about all of her books because I honestly read quite a lot of them. Also, another thriller that I would like to point out is Verity by Colin Hoover. I didn't expect to like Verity as much as I did. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew it was popular on Book Talk. It's about a writer who is hired as kind of like a ghostwriter or as a successor of a really famous author because she isn't well, she's sick. And that ghostwriter arrives at the house of the famous author and starts looking through her drafts. And they're really unhinged and creepy and crazy. I love the twist. I didn't see it coming as well. I was anxious reading it, and again, it's about writers, it's about writing and that process, so I would highly recommend that one. I can't wait for the movie. Let's move on to Until August. It's the lost novel. It's not finished by this author. This is why it's really short. It's about a middle-aged woman who goes to an island every year to visit her mother's grave, and then one year she decides to have an affair, and then every year afterwards she comes to the island and has different romantic connections. But the reason why I liked it is because it's so well written. It's such a pleasant read. It's about changing your life at any point you want. It's about relationship in marriage and how you can change it if you don't like it, something about how to deal with the middle life crisis and just reflecting on your choices, and that you can be anything you want to be or try anything you want to try at any point of your life. And I read that the author didn't think this book was any good, and I haven't read any other of his books, so I think I might and I should, because if I like this one so much and the author didn't even think it's worth it. It was published after his death. Maybe I should read more of his work, and I'm planning on doing that next year. If we talk about love stories, I have to single out Ailey Hazelwood. Her books, I think, are really entertaining, well written. I love the dialogues, I love the characters. My favorite has got to be Love Hypothesis. I also read The Bride, and I mean, The Bride is unhinged. The Knot, if you know, you know. I just did not expect it. It was like a comedy. It was funny, hot, and just really weird. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Out of love stories that I read this year, I have to choose these two as the best ones. I just feel like when it comes to romantic books, it might be cringe, but at the same time, this is kind of the point. Another book that I keep thinking about is um, I forgot what it's called. The Chemistry Lessons. I know I'm late to the party, but I read it this year and I enjoyed it. It's about a woman scientist who is not taken seriously in the scientific community. I think it's based in like 60s, 50s, 60s, about that time. And she has her own cooking show and she's a chemist. And this is why her food is delicious, because she understands what's happening when you mix something, when you cook, the chemical point of view. But yeah, she's really smart. She's one of a kind, but she's not taken seriously. And I read that book when I was on a journey alone. It was a solo trip. And I remember there's this final monologue of some sort, like towards the end of the book. And I think I teared up. I was really rooting for the main character. A bit on the nose in terms of feminist ideas, but I'd say that's the point. I recommend the book to all the women because it's really inspiring. Talking about feminist books, that again I read quite a lot this year. Girl Dinner is in my top 3 books overall this year. This is just such a well written book. It's about a sorority in college that just has the most beautiful, the most high achieving and successful women, and no one knows why. But there is a secret to it. This girl really wants to be a part of that community, and she joins the sorority. And there's also a storyline of a professor in that college, a young mother who tries to find her footing again after giving birth and finding her place in the society. So this is about women, power, friendship, connections. It's just really funny at times, but at the same time heartbreaking. There are a lot of feminist ideas, many different arguments for and against some feminist ideas. So it's just interesting if you want to dip in your knowledge on this topic. What else do I have on my Kindle? I've been really enjoying the Dream Harbor series. All of the books, I read quite a few of them this year, just as they were coming out. Out of classics, I can highly recommend My Dear Friend. Is it? Kirema-Pasan. I'm not sure how it's translated into English, but I loved that book. It was just kind of slow paced, about a man in Paris who wants to be really successful and be at the top of the society, and he ends up using a lot of people for his gain. It was slow paced, kind of predictable, but I don't think that the plot is the point of classics. It's the language for me and how it's written and just the vibe of that time. So I would recommend that. If you want to read something really unusual, I can recommend My Year of Rest and Relaxation. This is about a woman who decides to go in hibernation and sleep for a year and then wake up reborn and just renewed. It's like if it was Gossip Girl but darker, and Serena van der Woodsen would be depressed. It's written from this girl's point of view, and she just shares her thoughts honestly. And I guess that the question of this book is whether you need to destroy yourself to become someone new and rebuild yourself later on, and what do you need to do to feel alive and to live the life you want to. It's enjoyable, but be cautious. And another one that I think just has a really interesting structure is called The Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies. It's about a woman who gets cancer and about how her family deals with it, but the narrator is the cancer itself. It has different storylines woven into each other, and it's basically the cancer traveling through the woman's body while she thinks about her life and her past. But it's also set in the present, and we can see her family dealing with losing her. I also ended up reading quite a lot of Asian authors, and I can point out this book, Delargat Dream Department Store, from a Korean author. This is a book about a department store where you go when you fall asleep, and you get your dream from that store. And there's a new shop assistant who helps people pick up their dreams based on what they need when they wake up. Reading this book feels like having the most enjoyable dream when you fall asleep. Oh, and I read quite a lot of books by Irish authors. I can talk about Fair Play, because this one is not what I expected at all. It was in the detective story section at the bookstore, but there is a detective point here somewhere, but this is not the main thing about it. This is a story about how, after celebrating Christmas, was it New Year? Thinking New Year. So basically, after a celebration, one of the guests is found dead, and then his sister wants to solve the murder, if it is a murder, but wants to understand why. And there's again a double storyline. The first one is when a detective arrives and kind of tries to solve the case, and this is just a classic detective story based on all of the points you should have in one. And then the second storyline is of a woman in actual real world and how she deals with her grief over losing her brother. I didn't expect it to be this deep. I recommend, but it is really sad. Probably the saddest book I read this year. I also really enjoy reading Greek myth retellings, and I read some this year as well. In my top 3 this year is The Son of Achilles. Again, I'm late to the party, but I've been saving it for when I'm in the mood, and it did not disappoint. Actually, Circe by the same author, Madeline Miller, was the best book I read last year, and then this one again makes it to my top 3. It's the retelling of the story of Achilles and Patroclus based on the Iliad. It's about love and friendship and duty and finding different bits of your personality in other people and how they can complete you. I highly recommend, but again, this is quite sad. Now let's talk about the the 2 best books I read this year. It's a tie. Medea. Again, a Greek myth retelling. It's a story of a sorceress, a girl named Medea. She was born with magical abilities, and she helps the hero Jason get the golden fleece, and then they escape together. Medea is just such an important and iconic character in literature in general. It's just such a detailed and thorough work with the Greek myth. It's interesting how when you read something that was made up thousands of years ago is still relevant to this day, because it is about toxic relationships, about finding yourself, being confident in who you are, knowing your worth, and not letting others use you. I'm not sure if any other Greek myth retelling is going to beat this book, but I think this author also has another one coming out, and I think it's about Medusa. There's a lot of potential in that story, so we'll see. And then another amazing book, the one again I think about constantly, is I Who Have Never Known Men, Jacqueline Hartman. It is about 39 women locked in a cage underground with guards watching them at all times. They have some weird rules and routines, and they don't remember how they ended up there and why, what's the point. Guards don't talk to them. They just spend years there, and there's a little girl who ended up there being just a baby, and she grows up without knowing the world as we know it. So she spends all of her life with those women in the cage, not knowing anything about how it all used to be. And these women have memories of just our life, our society, but they don't know why they ended up in that cage. And then one day, the door is left open and they escape. I say that these 2 are a tie. Perhaps I would put this one a bit up just because this is the book that I would want to write. It is dystopian, my favorite genre. It's feminist. It's about women adjusting to new reality, about curiosity, about moving on even if you don't have a point to do that, about community, mercy. I'd say this is a metaphor for life. What's the point in walking if you don't know where you're gonna get? What will you find if you just keep walking even though you don't know your destination? I hope you read it because it's just really, really good. So yeah, I think these were my highlights. I don't think I'm going to set a goal for next year in terms of the number of books that I like to read, but I want to focus more on the classics and just learning more about literature. I definitely want to keep prioritizing reading. Most of the books that I've shown you were really random when I picked them up. I didn't know anything about them, just saw the cover and I liked the cover. Some were picked out as recommendations at bookstores, so this is why I picked them up. Some were recommended by Shop Assistant, and I'm really happy that I have my Kindle because I spent so many hours on it and it really helped me just have a book with me everywhere so I could keep reading. I wish you a lot of amazing stories to read in the next year, and please write your favorite book of 2025 in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!